Good evening. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anyone who needs translator services to Ms. Paula Balbuena at the podium.
Thank you, President Brown. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 268-481-40 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el número de acceso 268-481-40 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web mss4kids.com dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página en Quick Links y haciendo clic en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Balbuena. Welcome to Modesto City Schools' regular board meeting of November 20th, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. And we will take roll. First, Student Board Representative Jifa Akwaye.
Present.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Lopez is not with us this evening. Trustee Maestas.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Mejia.
Present.
Vice President Irvin.
Present.
And I am President Brown. For the record, we do have a quorum, so we will continue with our meeting. I'd like to ask you to join us for a moment of silence. Please stand. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district website, and the recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Modesto City Schools has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given the opportunity to either call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or to appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting and are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to the future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. So this evening, if you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject that is not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You'll find the cards in the lobby. You can hand your comment card to Ms. Chambers in the back of the room. Thank you, Ms. Chambers. I also want to remind you that if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. So tonight, if you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out a card now, as no cards can be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. And the maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes for that agenda item. This evening, we are pleased to welcome 2 students from Lakewood Elementary School who will lead us in the flag salute. As I call your name, would you please stand? The first student is Kian Nazare. So 6th grader Kian is in the GATE class at Lakewood and excels in academics. He received perfect ELA CASP scores for the past 3 years and excels in science and math as well. Kian is serving as Student Council Ambassador for the 2nd year in a row. He worked with community members this year to bring mailboxes to every classroom, to establish a pen pal program to keep students engaged at school. Kian is currently pursuing his black belt in Taekwondo. He'd like to attend Stanford Law School, and after practicing law for 10 to 15 years, he'd like to run for President of the United States. Our second student is Ishani Shaganti. 6th grader Ishani is also very active in school. She is a member of the student council, participates in band and theater, and sings in the Lakewood Chorus Group. Ishani enjoys playing volleyball and swimming anywhere she can. On campus, she demonstrates integrity, honesty, and kindness towards her classmates and school staff. Ishani would like to attend UC Santa Barbara with the goal of becoming a veterinarian, helping either small or large animals. Either one, she says, would be perfect. We have students with high goals, and we are great to see that you will likely be able to achieve many of those goals. Keep it up. Please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Place your right hand over your heart.
Ready?
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students. Now I'd like to turn the time over to Dr. Noguchi for her superintendent welcome and announcements.
Wonderful. Thank you, President Brown. First off, good evening, everyone, for those that are attending and those that are attending virtually. I want to take a little bit of my time today to first say Happy Thanksgiving, which is going to happen here on Thursday, and encourage everyone to take time and be present with family and friends that are family. It's important to unplug and to just take stock and appreciate and reflect on all the great things that we have here in Modesto, in the state of California, United States. It's a good time. It's a good time to be here. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I also want to take a few minutes to speak about a particular group of individuals, for without them, our students would really struggle when our teachers are unable to be in the classroom. I would like to acknowledge and appreciate and give a warm thank you to all of our substitute teachers, or in MCS, we call them our guest teachers. Last week on November 17th was Substitute Appreciation Day, and is the time to say thank you and stop and appreciate this particular group of individuals. You know, our guest teachers are not just substitutes. They actually are trained, credentialed professionals that come in and work to be able to create the right conditions for our kids in the classrooms. We have 600 guest teachers in Modesto City. And to speak to their dedication and commitment, we had 175 of them complete professional development at the beginning of this year to go over what we coin as the instructional core, also instructional strategies, engagement, really working with them to support them in figuring out how best to create the right conditions for our students in that classroom. One day you could be a second grade teacher, and the next day you could be a chemistry teacher. The following day you could be a PE teacher. So how do you navigate all that and still be there, be present, and create the right conditions for our students? So I really wanted to take that time to say thank you for all that you do for the district. While the focus of National Substitute Education Day is on substitute teachers, I do want to take this opportunity to mention and appreciate all the substitute staff, be it bus drivers, nutrition services, clerical staff, you name it. We need you in order to be able to keep our doors open and do the great work that we do with students. So a warm, heartfelt thank you to everyone that comes in and serves the Modesto City community. So thank you for all that you do. You definitely are appreciated. And with that, again, take time. Happy Thanksgiving. And with that, I'll turn it over to President Brown.
Microphones are wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. And we now have one of our favorite points of the evening is our recognitions, and I'll turn the microphone over to Mrs. Charles-Kina Shams.
Thank you, President Brown. Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, members of the Cabinet, and our Modesto City Schools families and staff. Thank you so much for joining us during a very busy Thanksgiving week. It is now one of our favorite times of the meeting when we get to recognize our students, our teachers, and our staff for their hard work, their dedication, and their innovation. And we're going to start tonight with an outstanding scholar, Bayer High School junior Jasper Starkweather, for the character trait compassion. Here to tell us a little bit more about Jasper's nomination is Principal Dan Park. Dan and Jasper, why don't you come up to the front and face the audience while Mr. Park says a few words about you, and then we'll take your picture next to the sign.
Up here, buddy. So I wasn't the one that actually saw this, but last summer on one of the hottest days of the summer, Bayer teacher Doug Sevier was driving down Oakdale Road near Save Mart. And he noticed down the road just a little ways, a car had broken down, and there were 3 senior citizens, 2 women and a man, trying to push that car into the Save Mart parking lot. They couldn't do it. They could tell they were struggling. It was blistering hot, and they were out there doing their best. And out of nowhere, Jasper and his 3 friends, just hanging out at the Save Mart like kids do over the summer, he saw Jasper and his 3 friends come to the rescue of those 3 older people. Jasper was just telling me, he said, come on, let's go do this. And his 3 friends were saying, well, and Jasper said, we're not doing anything else. Come on, let's go. So they went out there and pushed that group of senior citizens. They pushed the car into Save Mart parking lot, and that really caught the attention of Coach Sevier. He was going to help them when he got up there, but Jasper and his team beat it to it. And I just want to recognize Jasper for a great compassionate move that day. Jasper, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. Let's take your picture by the sign. Thank you, Mr. Park. Thank you, Jasper. Next up is our MCS Hero Award. Will Cami Lamar please come up to the front of the room? She's going to be joined by John Muir Elementary School Principal Armando Medina, who will tell us a little bit more about why he nominated Cami as an MCS Hero.
I just have a few words to say about Cami. So, Cami has been at Muir for over 20 years. She has served the school faithfully. She has seen many kids come and go. Through this, she knows for kids to be successful, they must come to school. She has risen to the challenge of increasing school attendance. Through her effort and dedication, John Muir has already recovered over 260 days of absences. People like Cami, with their hard work, dedication, and can-do attitude, are the kind of people who are MCS heroes.
You up close to the sign.
Skills and your strategy with others. Right?
Congratulations, Cami.
See why this is our favorite part of the meeting? It's exciting to celebrate great things that are happening within our district. And in our minds, every one of the employees are heroes. And sometimes we get to stop and celebrate accomplishments of one. And we've got great students, and it's exciting to see that great character trait demonstrated. So thank you. All right, now we're going to turn the time over to board members who have reports of meetings that they've attended. And I'm looking for names. Trustee Maestas.
All right. Thanks. I actually don't have any reports of meetings that I attended, but I have one thing to talk about. First, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you enjoy your family and friends and the couple of days that we have to celebrate that. This weekend, the MCS Marching Brigade, which is students from Enox, Bayer, and Grigori, I think the three schools that we have students in. They competed in the Western Band Association State Championship this weekend, and they got their best score of the season, but they were not in the top. So it was a tough competition, but they got their best score, which is great. They worked so hard this year, and it was great to see all of the kids put in so much effort and so much work to that. And they got back a little late, but they competed. So just wanted to put that out there and congratulate them for really long, hard work and effort that they put in this season.
Thank you. Trustee Mejia.
Yes, so I have a couple of things. One, I don't know if I reported last time, but if I didn't, and I know we're going to be talking about it later in the agenda, but the Ethnic Studies Committee that we get together, I know we've been doing a lot of work, and we have great stuff that we're going to report, but I'm seeing like feedback and data that we gotten from actual lessons that have been taught out there. So that was pretty awesome. So I'm enjoying that. It's very awesome. We're getting a lot of input from the whole committee, and hoping to expand a little bit more down when the agenda item comes up. The second thing I was able to attend with Chad and other staff, Dr. Noguchi, to the Keto Kickoff event that happens for the Salvation Army, which is a great event that helps lots of families in the community and near and dear to our school. So it was a great event. Got to see a lot of folks from the community and contributing, and also so many great causes and many things that are happening. So I just wanted to report on those two meetings that I attended. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Vice President Irvin.
Yes, I wanted to report on the meeting I attended, HBCU, Historically Black College University meeting for the tour that's coming up during spring break. Got all the schools that they're going to be attending back on the East Coast and in the Southeast. And so looking forward for our students to go on that tour. And that's all I had. Just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your turkey, whether it's baked, fried, smoked, or boiled. Um, enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a few things I want to acknowledge also. First of all, I was invited to participate in a focus group related to a nomination of Elliott, our continuation high school, as a model school. And it was so much fun to be there and be a part of that, that process and feel the pride that we have within our district for that campus and the great things that are happening there. Look forward to hearing the results of that and hopefully having a great celebration when we get the results. And also, I represent the district on the Association of Stanislaus County School Boards. We had a meeting this past week, and I'm just really excited about the direction that committee is moving towards highlighting and acknowledging student achievement. At our last dinner in the spring, we had students from Bayer High School that prepared the floral arrangements, and they also prepared a video showing the work that they had done in preparation for that. Well, that has been something that is continuing to grow, and we're going to be able to highlight students from throughout the county and things that are happening in various programs, which will give us opportunities to celebrate our students from many different areas. We're going to see students preparing hors d'oeuvres and desserts rather than cater that from outside. We're going to have students singing the national anthem rather than an outside community member. We'll have various students participating in the flag ceremonies. It's typically been our military academy from the county that has done that, but I'm pleased to announce that we're inviting Bayer High School's Junior ROTC program to make that presentation this year. They don't know it yet. But Mr. Park, maybe you can leak that for me. We're inviting them to come and present the colors for us that night. So lots of great things are happening within the county, recognizing the great work that happens on our school boards, but also including and recognizing our students in the process. Also, was lots of fun to be at the Kettle Kickoff. If you've never been in an auditorium where hundreds of dollars in dollar bills are falling from the sky, as people from different organizations and representing every aspect of our community is running around collecting money for support of the Red Cross's efforts to help the underprivileged folks. Salvation Army. What did I say?
You said the Red Cross.
Oh, boy.
The Salvation Army.
Salvation Army. Red Cross does great things, but it wasn't them this time. Salvation Army does so many wonderful things for the underserved people in our community and helping them to have great opportunities. It is just so much fun to be a part of that event. They set the tone for what happens in the rest of the nation with our Kettle Kickoff. We've taught other communities how to do it. It all started here. Yeah. So anyway, great things are happening, and once again, we wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. This is the week and season of gratitude and giving and forgiving, and we just encourage everyone to have a wonderful time. And please know how much we appreciate all of you. All right. Moving on with our agenda, we would now like to ask for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Well, first of all, I need to ask if there are any comments from the public regarding any items that are on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll then follow through with the approval process. So I heard a motion from Vice President Irvin, second from Trustee Mejia. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now, do we need to do a roll call? I believe we do, since we're not 100%. No? No?
We
Okay.
only do the roll call when we have it on, yes.
Okay. I'm going to go off script then. We don't need a roll call. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we'll look at the order of discussion and action items on our agenda tonight. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion and action items? Motion by Trustee Mejia, second by Trustee Daly. All those in favor? Aye. And I think I noted everyone, so that passes unanimously. We now come to the period of public presentations. Antoinette, do we have any other cards? I have two. Okay. So this takes us to the period for public presentations. And we thank you for attending tonight's meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have two cards this evening, and as I call your name, would you please come to the podium and address the board? You have 3 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Gina Wallace.
All of you, thank you for all your hard work and dedication. I am a senior member, 4 generations of Stanislaus County Schools. So I went to Downey High School and graduated in 1966. My children went to Rose Avenue, and now my great-grandchildren, my great-grandchild is also at Rose Avenue School. I'm trying to call attention to a big problem with my grandchildren now trying to get in the workforce. It seems like the majority of the workforce speaks Spanish. And my grandson who came with me tonight, for example, had to get instruction through Google Translate to learn how to do his job just recently. And it came to my attention that we've been really good at teaching the Spanish-speaking children English in TK. I would like to make a suggestion that we also teach Spanish to the English-speaking kids. And don't do it for an hour from 4th grade to senior school. They need to be immersed in language so that they really know it. And if they start those little sponges in pre-K, they'll learn it. If you do it for 3 months solid, those kids will be speaking Spanish. And I just truly believe in my heart there needs to be a change. I looked at statistics, and it looks like there's 68% Hispanic students in Stanislaus County and only 38% white. And there was an old story, what a person that speaks 3 languages is trilingual, 2 languages, bilingual, 1 language, American. We've got to change that, especially to start that in Modesto would be great. I know they have a program in Riverbank that also adds Mandarin to their curriculum from TK through 12th. And I was hoping that you guys could be a starter for the whole California system because I think it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Our second speaker is Kian Nazari. Hey, we've seen you before, haven't we?
Hello once again. It's nice to be here again. Nice to see some new faces. Nice to see some old ones. It's great to be here. So I'm once again here on behalf of Lakewood Student Council. We've been working hard to get things that we've started last year, get a lot more going this year. Last year, we came here and talked about how we wanted more equal voice in the board and everywhere in the school. However, we didn't have a really solid team that could put that through. We'd go, "Ooh," and then we just fall flat. We fell flat on our faces. So I've came here today to speak about some things we've been doing at our school, including a thing that we're very proud about, being our Pen Pal program. As was spoken to when I was being pledged, I partnered with communities boarding our schools. I partnered with Home Depot, actually, to acquire 20 mailboxes for free to be put on walls in our classrooms inside our school, so we can pass some letters out, as in like our book buddies to each other, or if you just want to write a letter to your friend. It's to strengthen the bond between our uppers, our littles, everyone around. We're going to be a good community. We're also hoping to eventually outreach to people outside of North America, maybe even get to Asia. So today, we've assembled some postcards for most people. The other ones will be sent through interdistrict mail. So we have a bunch of these letters, and I was hoping, if I'm allowed, I can pass these out. There's one for most of you. And I'd also like to very deeply thank Miss Jiva Akui and Miss Jolene Daly for coming out to our school and helping us learn how to be a better driving force in our communities. That is all for now. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Thank you, Keon, for being such a great example to other students in our district and to us as well. Again, we cannot engage in discussion or take formal action on items that are not on the agenda. We thank you for following the protocol and addressing the board and for taking the time to share your views with us this evening. We now have our student representative to the board report. So Student Representative Akwaye, please share your report with us.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a good day in the past few weeks. We had an inter-high council meeting last week with lots of updates from our schools. So all the high schools have finished their fall homecoming and fall sports celebrations and are now well into the winter sports and winter planning. It's always really nice to see the soccer kids outside practicing, even though it's like 7 p.m., but they're out there working hard, so that's always very exciting to see. So many schools have games coming up this week, basketball, soccer, really getting into the winter sports. And many of the schools have also started planning their winter homecomings, winter formals, and are actively working to apply methods to their leadership programs that can help increase student engagement on campus and spirit on their campuses. Additionally, many of the high schools are taking great strides to serve their community as well. So Bayer High School is in the process of developing a perfect turkey dinner fest to help feed Thanksgiving dinners to families in need in the community. Davis High School is preparing a winter workshop community event, so clubs and the leadership programs will be out there and we'll get to serve the community and just harvest a good community environment coming into the winter season. And Elliott had a feed kitchen event and a project to give blankets to veterans for the winter. And they're planning to set up a community Christmas tree. And another shout out to Elliott that President Brown mentioned earlier as well is that they were recently surveyed by the California Continuation Education Association and is being considered for classification as a model school, which is very exciting. So really the students are doing a lot of great things to make strides in their communities, on campus and off campus, and throughout our district. At the Inner Height Council meeting, we also got to hear from Mr. Gilbert Bluefeather Rosas about the district's strides in improving and expanding sustainability throughout the district. So we got to discuss what we could do as an inter-high council to help continue this progress in the district. So we're really excited to see what we can accomplish from this in the future. I also had the privilege of attending this month's Student Advisory Council meeting, where students learned about advocacy, how to be effective advocates for their peers. And so many of the different schools' student advisory councils are planning to meet with their administrators in the next upcoming months to discuss what changes they'd like to see and how they can help implement those changes on their campuses. So that's all that I have today. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and thank you.
Thank you for that report. Is there anyone here from Modesto Teachers Association that would like to report? How about from California School Employees Association? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the process and guiding principles for sunsetting COVID funds. No? It's a report. A report, okay. So we won't be.
It's a report on school links is the next item.
I'm sorry, my cheat sheet is wrong. Let me go to the agenda and catch up a little bit here. Okay, so. Okay, so. All right. I've got it, thank you. So item B4 is a report on School Links College and Career Readiness Platform.
Right.
And we're recognizing Mr. Tony Lomeli.
Yes.
Lomeli.
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan Reynolds.
I'll do my best to follow Keon. That's going to be tough to top. All right. Good evening, Board President Brown and Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, Cabinet, and members of the public. My name is Tony Lomeli. I'm the Senior Director of Student Support Services, and I'm joined by Ryan Reynolds, our Senior Director of Assessment and Evaluation. We are excited here this evening to share with some big things that are happening in Modesto City Schools to prepare our students for college, career, and or military futures. Our collective why. Of course, this ties directly to our larger vision of ensuring every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to our society and to our community. And we believe that this tool that we'll share with you today will equip our students to plan out their journey to get there. Tonight, you'll hear about School Links, our brand new college and career readiness platform, which is now available to students, staff, and parents in grades 7th through 12th, and like our two Lakewood stars over here, hopefully 6th grade soon. We will spend time talking about its selection, what it looks like, and how it's going so far, and where we want to go next. Of course, you'll see that district goals are truly aligned as School Links will promote equitable access to attain college and career readiness through many of the features that you'll hear about tonight. For a little context, we all know schools are held accountable for their performance. We get measured in many ways in our school district and in our schools. You see those here with assigned values and color metrics. One of those metrics is the college and career readiness outcomes of our high school students. Our students deserve a world-class system that helps them write their graduation story. Enter School Links. All right, that was a short introduction about SchoolLinks. SchoolLinks is a full-service platform, as you see in this illustration here, that helps our students envision their future and make a solid plan. From a district perspective, we are able to track progress toward our state dashboard measures, connect with parents and alumni, and even ensure each student develops a 4-year course plan. But it also has a host of other tools that help students search and apply to college. Research finances and stay informed. What really puts it over the top is the ability to align our career and technical education programs, as well as get kids career integrated as far as their goals as soon as they enter this portal. Students not only learn about their career interests, but they align with our district CTE pathways and our community industry partners who will be able to integrate into the system as well. So what sort of outcomes do we want this system like this? We want to make sure every single student starts high school with a clear plan. A clear plan that includes their future college and career goals, including A through G requirements for admission. Our CTE programs and career pathways should be built right into our students' 4-year course plans. Every student should know what they want after high school, after a little research. And you know, those plans do change. I have a senior in high school currently. They should be able to modify and change those plans each year to fit their needs and their interests as they evolve. College applications need to be completed on time. SchoolLinks will support that effort. And we need a space in place where parents and students can work hand in hand with staff to plan together on their goals. Ultimately, every student, and what this is, I would have to say what the most focused part about this whole thing is, every student, like these 2 students over here, have to have a platform to tell their graduation story, to be able to tell us their story, like the 2 students did earlier today. Here's one of our rising stars telling her story.
I'm Jufa Kwai, and this is how I tell my graduation story. By the time I got into high school, I had a pretty set interest, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do in the future. As I got into different clubs and just how I worked in different classes and things, I think that definitely changed my perspective a little bit on some of those more finer details of what exactly I want to do. I think that this could help because, I mean, first it tells you things like sort of professions that you could match with. And I think it helps to guide people because if they know that this is how I am with my personality, these are kind of the jobs that my personality are compatible with, it can help them going through high school to sort of establish maybe what they're thinking of wanting to do in the future. So I think this would be really helpful in terms of choosing what kind of path that you take in high school, and then that path can help you to establish what you want to do in the future. So after personality, when I click next, it has career clusters, and then I can click on my top cluster matches and see all the different kinds of professions within that cluster match, and then I can click on those and see all the details for those. And it also has all these other career clusters that I can click on and explore the professions in there, which is nice because there's a lot of variety here. So, I could definitely spend a lot of time looking around in this. I can search for any location, school, or program. It organizes itself by location, by school size, U.S. region. It also has an admissions tab so you can see how they work their admissions, what kind of degrees they offer, or what kind of degrees you're looking to pursue. It also talks about sports, so what kind of sports are offered at all those different schools. This is very interesting. Yeah. I think this would definitely help keep track because there is a lot that goes into the college application process and just preparing for your future, and it can definitely be overwhelming. And this simplifies it a lot and can help you just keep track of your timeline, make sure that you're doing all the right things. Definitely check out SchoolLinks. Definitely use it. Use it a lot. Take advantage of this resource because I know that if I had had this resource during high school, I'd probably be on this website every day.
Well, you got to see the system in passing, thanks to our star in the making. Let's have Mr. Ryan Reynolds walk you through some of the features in a little more detail.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lamelli. Let's start with student onboarding. So every student, when they log in for the first time, completes the Find Your Path survey, which you saw in that video, which asks them a number of questions about their interests. And by the end of this assessment, the platform has zeroed in on your personality. I've got an interesting one, as you know. But their career cluster has been figured out, and even their preferred college major. The exciting thing is that as of this past Friday, 8 out of 10 high school students in our district have already completed their onboarding process, and that was in a very short time span. So that's 12,700 students approximately who have a better idea today who they are and what they want after high school. That's huge. This takes the student to their first encounter with the student dashboard, though, which they see every time they log in from then on. So what's that look like? Well, the student toolbar is simple to navigate with options and activities grouped into simple categories to make it easy to find what you're looking for. You can see that on the left-hand side there. And now that the School Links knows what your interests are based on your Find Your Path survey results, your newsfeed is going to show you a host of relevant information such as scholarships, that's a big win for us, right? Job opportunities, mentor videos, and potential careers, again, all based on your survey results. And on the student dashboard, students will see upcoming to-do lists, school events like college rep visits or armed services vocational aptitude battery dates, other upcoming test dates, college test dates, important task reminders, and surveys or forms they need to complete. Each student's to-do list is based on our carefully designed scope and sequence that we set up for the whole year with interactive tasks for each grade level. Students will never miss a beat. Now, we've all heard of resumes and CVs, right? Hopefully you haven't had to update yours recently, but check out this puppy. Students start developing their student profile and professional resumes from day one with a little help along the way. Moving on to career exploration, School Links leverages current market data and industry metrics to provide career insights to our students as well. The career search allows you to search by region, career cluster, or even hot, fastest growing careers. It even allows you to filter for military careers. So, there's that. And when you dig into careers, you can see statistics, videos, information about education, and training. And you can even ask questions and they get back to you. So it's pretty interactive. Visiting colleges and learning about them has also never been easier. As you saw earlier, you can filter schools by type, location, size, what kind of degree you want, or even whether they have a badminton team. I heard that come up at a recent board meeting. So, my niece who attends Bayer has also been to dozens of college campuses as a sophomore from her couch at home, thanks to School Links' virtual reality feature. You can also do a little digging to learn about the school's campus life, admission stats, and of course, the weather each month. That's a real deal breaker for some of us, Dr. Noguchi pointed out, especially if you're on the East Coast, right? So a few other things that we can do though. Let's talk about this. Students now have a home for all of their goals, including a real SMART goal builder. A lot of us don't know what a real SMART goal looks like, so having a tool to help you build those. And under the activities area, students have plenty of additional surveys and personal assessments to learn about themselves. And each grade has a learning plan that students can access with self-paced, engaging lessons. And one of the most fun activities is the game of life. Just like the real life game, it helps students to simulate, now get this, the financial adventures we all face with different career, educational path, and lifestyle choices. Not every choice results in the best wad of cash in our pockets, right? So work experience teachers can post high school job opportunities, and this is really helpful for us. And then our students can track their volunteer hours as part of their various Partnership Academy requirements. And every parent loves this feature. You plug in your information and it finds matching hundreds of scholarships for you, tailored for each student. But what about counselors? Let me pass the torch to Mr. Lamelli to share about some great counselor features. Mr. Lamelli.
Before I start this part, I want to thank, it's not a Ryan or Tony show at all, School Links. Counselors have done a huge lift in implementing in the onboarding process, spending countless hours in classrooms with one-to-one meetings and also in classroom presentations. So before I get into the dashboard, I just wanted to make sure that I emphasize that they're doing the real work on this implementation and giving these opportunities for our students to start now, not only planning out their futures, but planning their four-year course plan. One of the cool features for counselors is they have a simple dashboard navigation experience that has data analytics, student caseloads, and the outcome of a student's pulse or social emotional check-ins. So there's an opportunity to do check-ins with students and see how they're doing on certain days. Their activity feed shows them what School Links tasks their students have recently accomplished. So on the left side, as students on their caseload complete tasks, they can see what they're working on, what they completed, and how they're doing. Across their dashboard, they can quickly see what college applications need to be processed, what tasks their students need to complete, what types of careers their students are interested in, what motivates their students, or how their students are feeling. This is something not only counselors can see, but all staff can see. Here you can see a picture of a student's case file. If you notice, all the great features that Mr. Reynolds talked about are located. So when they click a student, they can go to any one of these tabs to learn more about their students and learn their story. In terms of analytics, School Links is second to none in collecting data. Take a look at some real data we've already collected this year. In this short time, as an example, we already learned, for instance, that our current students are interested in health science or nursing. Very popular across our grade levels. We also learned that most students want to attend a four-year college, but it's also noted that their favorite colleges are Modesto Junior College, followed by UCLA and CSU Stanislaus. Our most favorited major at this point was Business Administration and Management, and again, Nursing and Psychology. To one of the most important features is how they write their graduation story, which is our course planner, where students have the opportunity to set a four-year course plan. If you look at the picture there, it kind of demonstrates what a student view will look like. This planner is tied to the course catalog and lives in School Links. It updates showing the students completed classes and historical grades, and even it shows whether a student is meeting their A through G college requirements. Students pick their program or plan, choose their courses, and submit their plan to their counselor. The best part is parents get to play in the role in all of the planning. All of our CTE programs are preloaded. If students pick a CTE pathway, those courses are loaded for the student, making it easier to complete the pathway. The plan takes students and parents through each subject and each grade. It changes colors if there's a problem. You can see in red here in the picture here where there is an error. Counselors can review, make notes that the student and parent can see, and even communicate with parents and students within the plan. Every graduation plan is accounted for and turns green once all the requirements are met and they're ready to move forward. Now that you have a good sense of what School Links is and can do, and what a 4-year course plan looks like, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Reynolds. Will he briefly show about our implementation over the past few months and how that has went. He will talk a little bit about School Links and how we work with students, staff, and our parents so far. Mr. Reynolds.
All right, so in preparing to share School Links with our community, we started with our admin team, and we needed them to have a strong understanding of the timeline, the purpose, how important it would be to support counselors, students, and families, the usefulness of data to support our work, and all of the new support that we would have. So you can see some of that here. For counselors, we are excited to offer numerous virtual, live, self-paced webinar and workshop training formats to ensure that they were introduced to this new tool as well. School Links offers frequent, timely online webinars as well around application season or financial aid deadlines, anything that's applicable to their timeline throughout the year. There's webinars timely and ready for them to answer their questions. And then School Links also has a huge library of standards-aligned lesson plans that are ready to use, that we're ready to tap into. So our students received training through self-paced courses in Schoology, that's their online classroom training in person, and videos. And we also created support websites for students and parents. You can see there were a number of social media posts. There's just some of them up here on the screen, and posters placed around campus as well. Brought a couple here. You can take them home and put them up as wallpaper, but you know, I'm an avid poster creator. Anyway, all right. So in addition to that, our district website has a banner which leads to a School Links tutorial page and help pages for students, parents, and teachers. Parents have received Parent Square text messages and emails with secure login information to access their School Link parent accounts. We really are wanting to partner with parents on this because it's all about that partnership where they're going to be able to walk their students through the course plan, help them pick what their college final list will be, help them decide what their career path will be. It's that whole relationship and that conversation. So we've scheduled trainings at our community advisory committee meetings and continue to share out videos and useful tips on social media. So let's talk about next steps. We plan to finish up 4-year course planning at the high schools this fall and balloting in the spring. And we want to ramp up parent participation as a major focus second semester. Students will be completing their financial aid applications soon, and we will also expand School Links to the junior highs next month. A big piece for us will be incorporating our work experience teachers and community industry partners to the platform and setting up event planning and job opportunities. And lastly, we want to work with our special education department to make sure our students will get the most benefit out of School Links as they transition out of high school. What a great tool for them. And that brings me to the end of our slides.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any public comments on this agenda item? Any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Maestas?
Sorry, I was writing down a couple of questions I had. This is amazing. I asked my son about it. He's a high school freshman. I asked him, hey, do you use School Links? He's, oh, yeah. What do you do? I don't know, some job thing. Like, he's a freshman, he's 14. So he'll get, I'm sure he'll use it more. You can't get much out of a 14-year-old nowadays, right? So I'm gonna be totally honest. I know I got the parent square. I'm actually like looking at the parent square right now, and I haven't logged in. But a lot of this stuff is the stuff I've been looking for, especially having conversations with my son about his 4-year plan and what he wants to do. And it helps me communicate with him a bit more. So speaking on that, if I haven't logged in, I'm sure there are a lot of parents that haven't logged in or haven't taken a look at School Links. So I know there was a lot of reach out here that you said parent access and support. But I'm wondering, do we have any numbers on how many parents have accessed School Links so far of the students that have also got trained?
So there are great reporting features within the system itself, and one of the things that it boasts the most is the whole analytics side of it. So though I'm not ready tonight to just spat out a number, I don't have it on the top of my head. It is something we can get to you, but it is something that's at the tip of our fingers anytime we want to look that information up.
That would be would be great. Board communication would be fine, but I also would like to know that if possible, by school site, if it's possible to do that, to see if we have any school sites in particular where the parents are not accessing this system, and how we can reach out more to those parents to get them to access the system. Because I think not only does it allow them to see what their students are thinking about in terms of after high school, but open up those conversations about that. And I think that's the biggest thing. But I'd like to be able to see how we can really get the parents involved, especially in those that haven't accessed it. Okay, a couple other things. Like I said, man, this is amazing. I can't wait to dig into it more. I'm glad I have a kid in the system so that I can really dig into the whole thing, who's in high school right now. One thing I noticed here, and I'm not sure it's a question of system or more data or what we can do to gather this more. I don't even know what page it was. This is a big report. There was a piece there about the percentage of students that are interested in 4-year college and 2-year college and military, and the breakdown of that. I can't remember what slide that was on. But one thing I noted in that, oh, here we go. An analytics report. One thing I noted on that was of the data that were taken, 90% of students said 4-year college or 2-year college. And when we talk about getting students college and career ready, sometimes we automatically, sometimes a lot of people will automatically go, well, not all kids are going to college. Well, that's true. In these data, it's only 10% that are deciding to go somewhere else at the moment, but we should always give the opportunity for kids to be ready to go on to college if they so choose, which right now in these data, it's 90%. However, caveat to that, this only represents 5% of our students that have either logged in or signed up for School Links, or all of our students. So I'm wondering, my question is, how can we get this percentage increased to get some better data on where our kids are thinking about in their future? Because 5% is pretty low at this. It doesn't really give us a huge. Yeah, it's not really representative. I don't know. So, how can we reach out to students to get those data increased? I don't know if that's a question that you can answer right now, or
The big goal right now for for the fall was to get kids onboarded, to make sure they were in the system, and then part of that onboarding process was to find your path. Now that all the kids are onboarded as we go year to year, when those counselors go in the room, we can focus or also embed all these other surveys that are included in there and embed those in the lessons.
Yeah, the thing I want to add with that is you have to consider we've got 15,000 high school students, and you have, I don't know what the number of counselors are, as far as implementing and getting this out into the hands of all of the getting this out in the hands of our students to the level at which is what was just showcased here, it is going to take a while to happen. So this just was opened up 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, this dropped
And
like
so,
the beginning of
recently.
October, right?
Right, so
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
just at the beginning. So it's gonna take a couple years to be able to fully embed and implement the entire process, right? We want to start with our seniors, because obviously the seniors are closer to the end. So it is going to take a bit. I have to say that I'm incredibly proud at the data that we have thus far, given that we've only had it for, I'm gonna say 2 months, but it was probably less than that. As far as really having kids have time to sit in front of a computer with a counselor in the room to be able to answer questions and also navigate through that. So the answer is yes, but it's gonna be a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't expect it tomorrow or on Friday, especially the Thanksgiving, get it to me on Friday. No. I know it's going to take a lot of time. Something I threw out there, how can we get more input from students, especially on this future pathway thing? It'd be interesting to see. Other than that, I only had 2 things, and I think this is amazing. I can't wait to see more of the analytics.
Move on to Vice President Irvin.
Yes, I wanted to, again, I think this conceptually is outstanding. And it'd be good to see, did you have any, like information or data from other districts who have probably used it for some years, or to be able to share, or?
Just in context, when we did our training, I made sure that we understood that we want all our kids to have access, and that they were impressed with where we're at this point and how quickly we've gotten the onboarding process up and running.
All right. So are we part of a inaugural group of districts or something? Or has this been out in other districts for some time?
I don't know exactly historically, but I know that this has existed, this program has existed at a few schools in Southern California and mostly in the East Coast and in Texas as well. This platform has been out there. I don't know exactly off the top. You might.
It's a pretty big program. I think they also serve the Department of Defense educational system, and it's a big program, but they were impressed. They did share that as a district that we were able in a couple months' time to already be at over 80% onboarded as a district. So I think that goes a lot to the staff, the counseling staff, and our teachers out there working hand in hand to get that done. So I think it's just a recognition, the importance, the fact that we need to have our students all having a 4-year plan completed and seeing where that's going to go next as a district. So.
And so how are they historically collecting the data, and what do they measure it based on? What, like, another district, say, like this has been 5, such and such district. I'm trying to find out what kind of data did they share from those other districts prior to us in terms of the successes and, what level of engagement, other districts experience in terms of utilizing the data and the benefits to students as a whole. Are there any, data points that we could, like look at and say, oh, okay, it's worked here, or, to that degree?
We could certainly ask them for some comparisons. It's not something that we were looking necessarily to compare ourselves against other districts for onboarding or.
Oh, no, I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking historically, like, X, Y, Allen, Texas have used this for 5 years, and here's the data from what they have experienced over those 5 years of using, school links, so we can
Best
kind of
practices.
Best practices, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the features that they have is it's called School Links All Access, and it's a forum where we're able to join and communicate, and they have all sorts of not only documentation and webinars and things like that, but trainings where we get to interact with those larger districts and some smaller districts and collaborate with. So it's not so much comparing to, but it is something where our staff gets to communicate with all these other districts and learn from the best practices from all the other districts.
And
So-
just a quick point, This was implemented by looking at four of the top systems out there in the K-12 community, and we had a group of teachers, counselors that selected it. At the end of the day, there's like an implementation life cycle for any software package, and that's what we're following suit with this. So comparison to other districts, we're in the implementation and user acceptance phase. We really don't have anything at this point compared to them. But when we did the analysis, some of the things that pointed out in terms of, usage and user acceptance, and then actually seen in the 4-year plan tool, were far ahead of their other customer base. So then we kind of got a good kickstart on this. But as far as larger districts, there's probably about 120 to 200 districts across the nation, and we'll follow up with them if we're following the best practices. But we have an implementation coach, so to speak, from the vendor that always keeps track of whether we're doing the best practices or not, but far ahead of the other implementation that they've seen across the nation.
Okay.
Great, we'll move on to trustee Marks.
Oh.
Pause and I'm going to jump.
Does the scholarship aspect of it match students who are CTE focused as well with scholarships?
Yes. Yes, it could match a number of features from GPA to certain student groups, if it's targeted certain student groups or anything like that, yes. So like for an example, my son is in a demo mode. He's at a neighboring district where my wife is a manager, but he used a demo mode to look at some scholarships and match what he was doing, and he can see some things nationwide that he may not have had access to before.
Okay. So if my goal is to be an automotive mechanic, so to speak, and I can get scholarships that could get matched with scholarships to different schools to pursue that career path.
Yeah, not just based on the career path, but on a number of different factors. So they've got, scholarships for, based on gender, based on ethnicity, based on everything under the sun. And so it'll match based off of the information that you put in and share about yourself. And then it gives you back, there's thousands and thousands of scholarship, even regional information that comes back to you, and then gives you an opportunity to apply. So,
in addition, any scholarships we enter for our kids only, they see those as well.
Okay. And then also, so the students who are just coming in, like the seniors, like the Sequoia, they can actually be like caught up, students to their senior year without having to start their freshman year. Like Trustee Maestro's son starting his freshman year. So if they're already in the pipeline, so to speak, putting in all of the stuff that they can to spit out a path, so to speak, lack of a term, they can be able to do that as seniors.
Yes,
They can get the full benefit, just like a freshman that starts the freshman year.
Yeah, for seniors, they can explore it to their full extent. The beauty of the freshmen is that they can over time, build a track record, like you saw in the student case file. Year to year, things change, and then they retake surveys or have different interests. It can build a really kind of a scope or a student case file. While our seniors, they have to do a lot of intriguing or discovery on their own over this year, because we're just in the implementation process, and we want to make sure that they have at least the base understanding of onboarding, searching for careers in colleges, and getting a foundation in it at first, as well as having the opportunity to take an end of the year survey and click analytics on what they want to do next, as well as they'll have access to it beyond this year as an alumni with a personal email where they can access their transcripts going forward.
Okay, and my last question, President Brown, what are the data points that we'll be looking for in this whole program? What are the data points that we'll be monitoring and looking for?
Yeah. So, and I think we covered a lot of it in one of the earlier slides, just in the goals slide, but ultimately it's the college and career indicator on the California school dashboard. So there's all the different factors that go into that, and it's how California defines college and career readiness. So it's A to G readiness, it's, students completing CTE pathways, it's, our graduation rate increasing, so dual enrollment, and it's students talked about the JROTC program, so military leadership, so all the above, but all of that factors into our college and career indicator on the California dashboard, and I think this will do a great job getting us there.
I agree. Thank you.
Trustee Marks.
Thank you. So I think one of my questions was already answered, but just to make sure, so it's tracking the dual enrollment and middle college units so that the students know that those are transferring and those will give them extra units at the college that they wish to attend. Does it show that? Because I know not all colleges accept that, but so they can see it. This college accepts all these units and these are, they might have to do something to make sure that they transfer. I'm just guessing, but.
Well, specifically, depending on the college, some colleges could be very unique. But yes, the goal is that those colleges, they would be able to see those courses in the system as their course planning, and they're looking to apply for college. To speak to individual colleges, there's some my son's a senior applying right now. There are some unique application processes, so it wouldn't be a one-size-fits-all as far as if this class is for a class in the East Coast or a class in Washington. So there will be some unique situations that it may not be applicable, but as far as course planning and be able to, that is the ultimate goal for those courses to be embedded in there.
Okay, good. That's great, because I think for the students that are taking those classes to know, okay, these are going to transfer, I want to stick with it, and they get that extra, they can knock off some time at school, at college, so that's good. Then I wanted to say I'm super happy that we're doing it, going to do it at junior high, because that'll help them get prepared for high school and be ready for those classes that they want to take so they can go to the certain colleges, and just seeing how it's going to work with the parents. So the parents are engaged in that conversation. That'll be awesome too. And then I just wanted to know what the cost was and where is it coming out of our general fund? I just didn't see that in our report. So I just want to know the cost of this and if we're in the planning stages of it.
It was approximately 125 to 140 with implementation services, as well as the first year of operation, and ongoing's about 130.
Okay. Okay, so each year it'll cost 130? Okay, thank you. That's helpful. That's it.
All right, Student Representative Clay.
Right, hi. I don't have that many questions, but just more comments, I guess, from a student perspective of using school links. Definitely, when I left from filming the video, I was really excited. I was telling my dad all about the features on school links that I thought would be really helpful for myself and for my peers as well. But I think I mostly just want to maybe talk about looking at school links from the perspective of a senior in high school, because obviously we don't have as much time to go through the process, but I know I found that it's still really helpful through, for example, with the college search. One thing that I noticed about school links, when you look at this college search and scholarship search, those are all things that the kind of information, the details of information that you receive are kinds of things that you might otherwise have to pay for yourself to get that kind of information. So it's incredibly detailed and incredibly thorough. And I think just that access for everybody makes looking for colleges and applying to colleges a lot easier. And just the way it's structured is it's very organized and it really keeps you in track. So for example, for applying to colleges, it keeps track of when your applications are due. You get to see which teachers you've asked for. You recommend letters of recommendations through school links. You get to see if your teacher has submitted them. You get to see if you've submitted your applications already. They have parts where you get to see, okay, I've submitted this application. I got my results back. This is what I got. This is the financial aid I got. You get to look through your own financial aid situation, type in your information, and then you get to compare your finances with a college that you want to go to see if it's compatible, to see if going there is possible for you. And then on the career aspect of it, the internships, as you mentioned, literally you type in your interest and you'll find volunteer opportunities, paid internship opportunities in Stockton, in Manteca, in Modesto, locally. So students really have everything they need to build up a college application through actually doing the application, but also throughout their high school years to really prepare for college and prepare for career, because you're getting that sort of volunteer and career experience. And that's something that I think is just extremely important, and I think that a lot of students will be really grateful for. And then even down to balloting, as you presented in the presentation, I thought that what it showed with credits, making sure that students themselves can continuously make sure that they keep track of their credits, I think is really important. And to allow students to also really make sure that they're on their A through G requirements is important, because, you know, our counselors are very busy and they have large caseloads. So making sure that students get to keep track of things themselves, I think is great. But I mean, as many of the trustees mentioned, I think it's really important that we do our best to really make sure that we have as much parent engagement as possible, and also just keep reminding students that this resource is there, because I think the more students who know about it and get a chance to use it regularly, the best outcomes we'll have for our district.
Thank you, Trustee Daly.
Thank you so much for this report, and whoever initiated starting to look for this, because it answers a few of my questions that I've had throughout the course of the last year. In working with college students in my practice, the two things that they have the biggest concerns about is, one, what is my learning style? How do I learn? And I saw that in there, so that is great. And the other one is, how do I know what job to get? How do I know where the growth is at? You know, unfortunately, we hear of so many people who have gone on to college, get a degree, and then end up in an industry that they didn't need their college degree because maybe their job wasn't as lucrative as they thought it was going to be, or the career path that they chose. So that is huge. I think where Student Rep Aquais is talking about, it really is important to get the students engaged in this, because I just had a conversation with my nephew over the weekend, who is now 25, MCS graduate, and he says, I wish I would have listened to my high school counselor. So all of these things are things that they have tangible that they can look at and see, this is what I need to do, or this is what I want to do. Is this going to be beneficial to me? But the biggest thing still is the parent engagement and getting the parents involved in that. That's the one area that I think is really important. Thank you very much.
Vice President Irvin, you had one last question.
Just one more. With that being said, I just want to suggest that maybe if we can do some school link parent boot camps to offer to parents, to show them how to engage in this, you know, just as a way to get parents, you know, engaged and motivated about this. If we can just offer some parent school link boot camps and see if that helps with the engagement aspect of it. That's it.
Well, thank you. We've had good input and questions from the board. You see, we are excited, as you are, about opportunities that come. I had one final question I'd like to ask. So many of our students come to us as second language or English learners, and our parents still speak the native language in their homes. Is the parent material available in Spanish and other languages?
Yeah, so a lot of the communication, in fact, everything that we've sent out so far to parents, we've had translated into Spanish as well. And then the help materials are available in Spanish and other languages as well. So if you go to our website right now, everything is in translation.
But are the school links information in Spanish, or is it just that we have to translate for the parent?
It's in Spanish. What you mean, provided from the vendor, yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
good. That's important to me, to make sure that we have a way to reach the parents who sometimes feel left out. All right, thank you for this report. And we look forward to seeing how we go beyond onboarding and get into full implementation. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, next we'll move on to item B5, which is a report on recommended realignment of COVID funds. And we're going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Godot.
Good evening, Board President Brown, trustees, Dr. Noguchi. Thank you. It's my pleasure tonight to report on our recommended realignment of COVID funds. As you know, this has been an ongoing conversation over the past several months, related specifically to looking at our guiding principles for this realignment of our funding. So the purpose of the presentation this evening, we'll start by just reframing why we're having this conversation this evening. That we have COVID one-time funding. We are going to review the process by which we identified the sunsetting funds, review the sunsetting COVID funds guiding principles, which is kind of the framework by which we looked at and came to these recommendations. We're going to review the recommendations. We're going to review the recommendations and then provide some next steps, and then, of course, go out to the public for comments and the board for questions and comments. So again, all of our work in Modesto City Schools needs to center around our collective why, or our vision. And as the last presentation highlighted, we are focused on the idea that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. And you're going to see through the course of our work this evening that we are still focusing on that as our vision. Our district goal alignment, we have 5 district goals, and they're all on display here this evening because a lot of what we're going to discuss tonight touches in each of the 5 goals. Primarily, as far as the presentation in the agenda this evening, we focus just on goal 3. In providing a safe, welcoming, respectful learning environment for every member of the school community. And this is the key here, while ensuring effective district-wide communication for students, staff, families, and community partners. So sharing out how we got here to this evening. So our COVID dollars, or our one-time dollars, this is a summary that Mr. Zierle has shared, I think, a few times over the last couple of months. And if you did the calculations in your head pretty rapidly, Mr. Rich, I think it would come to almost $191 million between those funding sources. And I want to point out, as we have in the past, that those funding sources expire over time. So you can see AB 86, that funding source will expire September 30th of next year, of 2024. I won't go through all of them, but they phase out over time. So this process that we're engaging in this year really is almost like phase 1 of this process, because it will be ongoing over the next several years as these one-time COVID funds expire over time. So the process for sunsetting COVID funds was, as I mentioned, we started several months ago. Was number 1, we identified programs for review. Those, not just those that were funded by one-time COVID funds, but we really took this opportunity to look at how might we realign our resources based on where we're at, based on what funds we have currently available, what funds that we'll have available over the next few years, and take this opportunity to recalibrate and really look at so that those programs for review did not necessarily just focus on programs that were funded through these COVID one-time dollars. We identified 24 and 25 funding that is going to be needed to sustain, okay? And then we went, and those processes have been completed. We also drafted the guiding principles, which we also presented to the board. We brought those guiding principles to the board November 6th as a report. And then our last board meeting on November 20th, the board approved those, we brought those earlier, November 6th, you approved those. Tonight, we are talking about the program realignment, and then we will come back in December at our next board meeting for those to review and approve. So over the last months, speaking of the COVID realignment and those guiding principles, we met with those following groups going back to September 25th when we spoke with the Board of Education. We've met with the Parents Make a Difference, Student Advisory Council, our Inter-High Council, both opportunities for students to provide feedback, Community Advisory Committee, Our Academy of Leaders, which is our management group, extended cabinet, as well as the LCAP committee, all had input into the guiding principles. So those 4 core elements of the Sunsetting COVID Funds guiding principles centered around keeping things student-centered with the eye for what is best for students. That doesn't always align with what's best for adults, but I highlight that because when we say student-centered, I don't want us to make assumptions as to what that means specifically. Also focusing in on equity and access, how we're ensuring that program alignment decisions are made in a way that maintains equitable access. We've been talking a lot about equity over the last several years, and this is a continuance of that priority. Prioritizing core educational goals. So, what programs do we need to preserve or services that directly support our district's strategic goals? I don't believe that there's really anything in our system that doesn't align with a district goal, but this is just keeping us focused on, how are we supporting the instructional core, or increasing graduation rates, decreasing dropout rates, and mental health supports. Those are all part of that prioritizing core educational goals. And then considering our long-term investments. There are programs that may need additional years to continue to grow. May have been just implemented in recent memory in the last year or two. And the data may not be at a point where we are in a position to make that, and we're going to give that some more time. So those are the 4 core elements of our sunsetting guiding principles. So that process leads us up to about, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, Cabinet met and Business Services identified the number, that 11.5 million budget realignment that it would take to keep what we have in the system or adjustment so that we are not deficit spending in this area. So we started with a number for 24-25 at 11.5 million that we needed to adjust or realign. Now, part of our process, we started with identifying our Extended Learning Opportunity Program, which is the ELOP acronym that you see up there, and reallocating those funds to support our 9-12. As you know, our district is unique in that we have 1 superintendent, 1 board, and 2 districts. So we're going to work to have those ELOP funds support our 9-12 summer school and intercession, which amounted to $2.2 million, as well as our esports program, which runs approximately $280,000. So that's a savings of about $2.5 million, or a reallocation of $2.5 million moving into next year. So if you're doing the math in your head, that knocks that 11.5 down to 9. And then we were challenged a few months ago by Dr. Noguchi to really take a deep look at our individual division budgets. So each cabinet member has a budget, and those within those divisions, whether that's people, programs, services, et cetera. So we spent time digging into our own budgets and seeing what are the trends? What is it that maybe has been in the system that continues to roll over as a budget number, and maybe we just haven't, the trend is showing that we don't need that amount any longer. And then we looked at funds that were primarily allocated but not spent. Similarly, maybe we had something, you'll hear of some things tonight that we're going to highlight that we're going to take out of the system because they were in a budget but were not utilized or were phasing out. And again, I want to emphasize that this is phase 1 of a 3-year process. Those funds that I identified earlier continue to expire over those years. So this is an ongoing process that we started this year. I also want to point out that when we talk about a savings or a realignment of, I'll just say 400,000 as an example, that might be a savings of 400,000 for next year. But when you talk about a 3-year budget, that extrapolates out to a $1.2 million savings, not necessarily just the 400,000 for 1 year, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go through each of the division's recommendations, and we'll start with educational services. So first off, there a recommendation of a reduction of 20 FTE. Now that stands for full-time equivalencies, or that's a staffing acronym. It basically means 1 person teaching a full day. Now, I want to point out that this recommendation for the reduction of 20 MVA teacher positions is we were staffed for 75 teachers. We're currently at 55. So this reduction of 20 is a budget number. It's the MVA reduction doesn't have an impact to people. So for example, there are no MVA teachers as a result of this that are being displaced. So we've reduced the budget allocation for the staffing for MVA, which results in a realignment of that $2.5 million. So again, that number continues to come down. Site-based program proposals. When we were in COVID and coming out of COVID, we asked our principals to submit proposals for things that they felt might be specific to their site. We had the money through these one-time COVID funds to do a lot of different things. 50,000 of those allocations will expire at the end of this 3-year cycle, so those just will not continue on after this year. Beyer Middle College. Beyer Middle College moved to a dual enrollment. There, if you'll recall earlier in the year, we talked about dual enrollment and early college pilot at Downey and at Beyer High School. That did not result in a reduction of dual enrollment opportunities for students. That I think it actually resulted in an increase with the early college pilot at Beyer. But again, that was an allocation in our budget and ed services to continue that service agreement. And we feel like we don't need to go that direction anymore, so that's a realignment there. As you know, we've talked a lot about supporting students, increasing enrollment, and engaging students coming out of COVID, and we used an expansion of athletics and activities at our junior highs as a model for that. And part of our realignment will be moving this $80,000 budget to support activities directors and other staffs at our junior highs to go to this annual conference, and it just realigns it with our high school model, which our high schools pay for attendance to this conference out of their site budgets. But we were looking for this rapid expansion and implementation to get the junior highs up and running with more robust activities, and so that was the impetus for this reduction here. And then the behavioral student assistance specialists. Again, this realignment is a currently vacant position. It's been vacant all year. There have been other services that have been provided. So a reduction here does not result in a displacement of a person in a position. On the student support services side, you see the first item there is reduce non-public school budget allocations of $1.2 million. And through the years, MCS has been able to reduce the numbers of students that we've had to place in non-public schools or in residential settings. And you may know when these placements are a pretty big, heavy lift in the budget. So we've had a significant budget number there to support that. But again, looking at our trend data over time and budget analysis, we're going to reduce in this area. And we still have money budgeted to provide residential placement and MPS placement as necessary. Health services reductions there. This will impact some staff, but the challenge here is that these COVID funds, or COVID led us to increase things like COVID testers, right? Or manning different COVID-related specifics. Those same level of supports are not necessary at this time. And you'll hear as we go through some other items that we are working with staff that are impacted by potentially either being displaced or eliminated positions, and working with them to identify either other vacancies that may be available for them in their job classification or other classifications, or even looking at how we might support them moving to a different position that they may not have considered in the past. Transportation. This is SPED related, and in looking at those, that 3-year trend, the special education department had not hit the number of dollars allocated for special education transportation, so we're reducing it an appropriate amount. And again, this is not a reduction in services, this is a reduction in the budget allocation. ESSER added campus supervisors. As a result of COVID, we added additional campus supervisors at our junior highs and high schools. We increased the overall site safety, and we are adding fencing, as you're aware, at our high schools. That will be completed by the beginning of next year. And the reduction of the 9 of the 19 campus supervisors will take place at the end of this school year, and I failed to mention that relative to our health services related adjustments. All of these changes regarding staffing, these folks have jobs all the way through the end of the year, but it's the 24-25 year that the positions are being realigned or eliminated. Our para boot camp, we had a partnership with Modesto Junior College. We had a significant increase in the need for paras over the last few years, and thank you to our illustrious team in Student Support Services and Human Resources. We're actually better staffed at a higher rate than we were probably pre-COVID. And so there really isn't a need. Again, it's just identifying where we can trim some of the fat, so to speak. This was another area in reducing that para boot camp allocation. And then outdoor education, unused stipends. I want to just start by saying this is not a reduction in services. All of our students will still continue to attend our outdoor education, but we have a budget allocation for stipends for staff that attend as chaperones for these events, and we have not hit that budget number, so we're reducing appropriately. In curriculum instruction and professional development, just again, through budget analysis, looking at reductions within the division of $826,000. Site-based STEAM budget charters. Each site in our district receives a STEAM budget allocation. So our sites do receive STEAM money. This $100,000 was above and beyond what we're already allocating to sites. A lot of this was part of our COVID ramping up, looking at what sites we're interested in, and we've had some sites that were implementing Project Lead the Way, and through COVID, some of that did not materialize at the level that we anticipated, so we're reducing there, and that rolls also into the reduction of the STEAM coordinator. At the start of 2020, many of the schools were looking to implement Project Lead the Way, as I mentioned, but through the COVID years, only a few schools continued on with the plan, and the schools that remain with the program, we've identified that they can be supported through other personnel. And then coaching reductions. Similarly, we've had a lot of training coming out of COVID, and we're looking to reduce in this area as positions turn over. And I think that's important to highlight that through many of these positions, through attrition or retirements, or potentially looking at other positions of interest, we hope to mitigate the impact to current employees. And then in IETS, business services and HR, again, we just kind of generally classified budgetary adjustments as looking at our budgets and reducing. Classroom technology, we utilize ESSER funds to refresh classroom technology. WiDi printers, student batteries for Chromebooks, et cetera. The life expectancy for those purchased items, we have another 1 to 2 years there, so we're able to reduce going into next year for that purpose. Labor reductions, this position overlaps with current positions within CIPD, so the remote learning technology demands that were present during COVID for this positions have dropped, okay? So again, making some adjustments there. And then a reduction in legal fees. Again, looking at our trend data, we've had a dollar amount allocated in all of our division budgets for legal fees, and with some careful analysis, we've identified that we can reduce there. And last but not least, grievance budget reductions. Thanks to some collaborative relationships with our labor partners, we're going to in good faith, reduce that budget by $50,000. So, but no, in all honesty, this goes back to that budget analysis, really looking at what have we had budgeted year over year and what have we actually used. So our next steps. Clearly, there are going to be employees that are impacted by this. And I've said this on more than one occasion, this is a people business that we're in, not just our students, but the adults in our system. And we value our employees and their contributions. And we've had many employees, both veteran that have been in the system for a long time, as well as new that stepped up during and after COVID to support the needs of our students, our staff, and our community. So we are sensitive to that, and we're going to work diligently with those that are being displaced to identify potential employment opportunities where they're qualified. For example, we have a shortage of bus drivers. We are currently working on a plan to implement a training program for people that, if interested, could get the training necessary to become a bus driver in our district. Now, that may be out of their current classification of what they're interested in, but I highlight that as an example of how we can support those that are in a position that is being realigned or eliminated, displaced, to help them find new employment either within the district or without. Continuing to review and analyze our COVID funds. Again, this is a 3-year ongoing process, and this is really just phase 1. Additionally, as we move into next year, phase 2 will continue, and we're going to go through a similar process next year. Review where we're at with our guiding principles, some areas that were considered this year, quite frankly, and will be, as an examples, again, examined next year, is our school support managers. Those are managers at our elementary schools that we added after the start of the school year last year, that were really placed as a support to principals for supervision, to increase the availability of staff to support students, mental health supports, those types of things. Our student services administrators, those are our pupil services administrators at our junior high and high schools that we've added. And they have helped in a number of different ways, along with our SSMs in supporting principals at their school sites. But we need to continue to look at the level of service being provided versus the need. We have some good data that does show the impact of those positions. But again, we can't continue to do everything. But I think I said earlier today, we can't do everything. Nope, I'm going to screw that up. Tim? Yes, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. Thank you. Third time is a charm. As well as G230 site-based positions. Pre-COVID, we did not have G230 site-based. We had a G230 program, which is a credit recovery program housed here at Pearson across the street. After COVID, we had a lot of credit recovery needs, so we expanded using COVID dollars to place 2 G230 teachers at every school site. Last year, we implemented a pilot of what we call e-learning within the period, within a student's schedule. So we're looking at that. That's one of those things that we'll look at, and we'll compare the data and see what is most effective at helping students with that credit recovery. That goes to that long-term investment, continuing to analyze and see what we need to do there. And then last but not least, review and approval of the recommendations. So with that, I'll turn it back over to President Brown for public comment.
All right, do we have members from the public who are wanting to speak on this issue? Please come forward and identify yourselves.
Passionate. My heart's going, you got to calm down a little bit. Beth Canale Loma Junior High, I've been a teacher there for 28 years. I'm here to speak about the importance of our campus supervisors. Last week, all the campus supervisors were notified that 9 campus supervisors were going to be let go at the end of the year because they were hired with COVID money. They forgot to tell those new campus supervisors their jobs would end if COVID money ended. 1 week before Thanksgiving and 6 weeks before Christmas. Furthermore, teams at each school then were told that they were going to have to move to fill the gaps. Our campus supervisors at La Loma Junior High are outstanding for many reasons. 1, when a teacher has an issue on the campus, the supervisor is always there to support the teachers, always. They develop relationships with struggling students. They talk to them when teachers can't. They develop relationships with, They take care of students that are having rough days, and trust and believe, right now, kids are having rough days. The camp supervisors break up fights, which we have numerous of those. They take care of our students who are defiant and disruptive in the classroom so that we can honestly teach. Many times I'd call for an administrator, but they're in meetings and they aren't available, but the campus supervisors are. I have spoke to many teachers throughout the district, and losing one of their team is scary. Students want to be safe on their campus. Campus supervisors keep our campus safe, not fences, not administrators. I heard a long time ago that they were going to add another one. I said, hallelujah. That's great because, you know, we need all the security we can get. I'm a PE teacher. I'm totally out with a fence. And trust and believe if anything could possibly happen, it would happen out there. I want as much security as possible. Please protect our students, our teachers, our staff members, our MCS campuses. Because goal 3 in the district goal says provide a safe environment. Please dig deeper, cut elsewhere, and do what is right. Safety has to come first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Jason Flora. Bear with me here. I can talk in front of 80 kids, 180 kids all day, but I'm having a hard time here. I'm a junior high teacher at Hanshaw Middle School. I've been there 8 years now. I teach 8th grade history and the 7th grade AVID class, which I absolutely love. And we have lots of kids in college now. I have a prepared statement based on about one of the things here tonight, what we experienced at our school last week. And I have nephews that attend a different middle school in the district. So I'd like to speak about the recommendation, so examine what she said about the reduction of campus supervisors. While a reduction of 9 does not seem like a lot, and from what I've been told, my school will not be affected by these cuts. I believe that no school in the district should have a reduction in supervision on campus. At a time when students and staff feel scared and threatened on our campuses, I would implore you to decide against these cuts and add supervision to sites where the need is greatest. For example, last week at Hanshaw, we had one of the worst weeks many of us could remember in years. By the end of the week, we had 14 separate suspensions. Students are scared, staff are scared, and staff have been threatened by students. We all see violence events happening at schools across the country. My fear is that we are careening towards our unwanted 15 minutes of fame. Students are coming back from COVID school closures with greater behavior, social, and emotional issues that are manifesting on campuses. I would like to tell a positive story about campus supervision and how important they are to our campus. I had a medical issue in my classroom during a passing period a couple weeks ago. With 70+ students exiting and entering while dealing with this sudden and unexpected issue, we as teachers need to make split-second decisions. Getting someone to pick up in the office can often be very challenging, but the person who did pick up their cell phone was the campus supervisor, who immediately came to my room, helped me stabilize the situation, and radioed over for the nurse to help the student to the office. Thankfully, because of this quick intervention, the student was fine, and I could get back to teaching. I will end with this. Every student matters, every staff member matters, every school matters. Students and staff should feel safe when they come to school. I would encourage you not to approve the recommended cuts for campus supervisors and to work with the superintendent to identify schools needing additional supervision support and make safety a top priority. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public members that would like to speak? Do we have comments or questions from the board? Recognizing Vice President Irvin.
Yes, I wanted to know what other positions where we experience shortages at in order to have opportunities for staff who may be displaced, like, paraprofessionals, child development, nutrition services, maintenance and operations. Are there, possible positions that people could be trained in, OJT, and placed in some other positions as opportunities to keep them within our district?
Well, on behalf of Mr. Henderson and the rest of cabinet, yes, we're going to work to identify positions within our district that qualified individuals can move into. Now, that depends on your classification and what you're currently doing. And part of the reason for this timeline of notifications and board presentation was really to be as transparent as possible and as early in the process as possible so that employees could make big decisions based on if they're going to be displaced from a position. And I know that timing is rough around the holiday season, but we're entering a period of jobs being posted and, staffing meetings and those types of things. So really giving folks time to process the information, to get their questions answered, to meet with staff, to identify potential opportunities, and then to be in a position with that knowledge to make decisions is really the tact that we're taking here. So that's a long answer to a question that was, yes, we are working with them to identify other vacant positions. I don't know specifically which those are right now, but we're entering that season.
Okay, and because I want to just elaborate, positions in child development that require certificates and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe we can have funds put aside to help staff members who may want to pursue child development, get their state certificates or something like that. Same thing with nutrition services or, just trying to, I'm not gonna say buy time, but, provide some level of security beyond the end of the funding, the COVID funding for staff members. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daly.
My question is along the lines of what Vice President Irvin was asking. So it looks like to me that a lot of the positions that are being removed were added due to COVID. I think this, I wrote down this statement.
That is correct.
As a result of COVID, these positions were added, and so we're kind of going back to pre-COVID. We have to do that with everything. And then the question that he brought up is we're gonna do our best to make sure that people have jobs, is what I'm hearing you say.
That is what I am trying to communicate, yes. I'd also point out that in many respects, we did not reduce down to pre-COVID levels. We're still maintaining staff to the degree that we can, with the knowledge that we do have to make, we have to have a realignment of funding, so.
Thank you.
Next up, Student Representative Okoye.
Thank you. So I just had a bit of like a question and comments on regarding campus supervisors. At the Student Advisory Council meeting that I attended last week, we discussed that one of the concerns of students across our middle school and high school campuses are, higher security and safety concerns. And so I just have a question that if we're going to be removing additional services and what are often sort of immediate recovery services, whether that's from fights or sometimes if a teacher can't make it to class or a substitute's not there on time, these are the people who cover those sort of immediate issues. If those positions are going to be removed, then I guess my question is that what is going to be put in place other than, additional fencing around the campus to deal with internal conflicts on campus?
We had engaged, and to the point that Deputy Godot had made, campus supervisor is a tough one. That is one to where we did not go with the full COVID reduction. So we are still trying to find ways to keep existing for what we had before. I do think that the fences will help because if you've been to our high schools, you unfenced, we have a number of campus supervisors that have to patrol kind of the perimeter of the school, so to speak. So that allows us to condense even more in there, within that area. Also, we engaged in a contract with Knowledge Saves Lives with a comprehensive safety analysis, and we are going through the process of increasing what we're doing across the board school safety. And so that is some information that we'll be rolling out second semester.
Thank you. Trustee Marks.
Thank you. So I just want to say that I do appreciate that we're letting the staff know as early as possible so that the adjustments can be made, and we can see if there's other positions that might come up and they have an opportunity to apply for those. I know it's really tough because when we've gone through these cuts in the past, which in the past we got a budget that wasn't going to, we couldn't sustain it, and we had to make like hundreds of jobs that were lost, and it was really painful. So I'm sad that we're at this point, but I remember when COVID was, we were told we're going to get these $191 million, that at some point it was going to end. And so it's extremely painful. I appreciate that the process that we've gone through as a district to try to identify as many openings and spots that weren't filled positions to eliminate and to save as much funding as possible. Though it's always painful to have anybody move from a position that they love and that they're successful at, and I know this is difficult. So I do have a question though on the budget, so I'm just trying to understand this. So I see that it was $191 million that happened, that's proposal, these cuts have been happening since 2022. So right now, we're cutting 11, well, it's down to 9 million this year. And then there's the 81 million that's through next year. So is that's through 9/30/24? And then the other one is the 40 million that stays until 2028. So I just have a question on next year. So when that ends, the 81 million, how are those cuts going to happen? Because that's a lot more than 9 million. So just wondering, it's allocated through that year. So how does it work? And then how does the reductions work?
That 81 million is the reason we're having this conversation, because that ends technically at the end of this year. So
Yes.
we have June 30th as the end of our year. We
Okay.
have till September to finally spend the dollars and certify we spent the dollars. And so those are gone. Those are gone at the end of the school year. With that, we identified $11 million worth of positions that are funded with that $80 million. That's how we came up with the amounts.
Okay, thank you. Now I get it. Thank you so much. I wasn't clear on that, so I appreciate that. That's it.
All right, Trustee Maestas.
Thank you. So I have a question on clarification. I have a few questions on the campus supervisor part. So just a clarification, I guess a scenario clarification. If something happens on campus internally, and we have to keep one supervisor to watch the perimeter of a non-fenced school, so even if something happened on campus, that person still needs to be out there on the perimeter?
No. The perimeter is typically being watched when there's nothing going on at a school campus, but let's say that we had an event inside, that campus supervisor may be pulled off from the perimeter to go and assist there.
Okay, so we don't have anybody watching the perimeter if something happens like that? Okay. Do we know what the ratio of campus supervisors to student is in the junior high and high schools?
Pre-pandemic, I could give you those numbers. Pre-pandemic, the high schools had 6 campus supervisors. Through COVID funds, they were given 8. Junior high, the La Loma and Roosevelt had 2, they were given 4. Hanshaw and Mark Twain had 3, they were also given 4. The recommendation would be to reduce by 1 with the exception of a handful of schools. Modesto High School due to not having fencing, and then Hanshaw would remain at 4 tentatively.
Do we know if there's any ratio on best practice research out there on that?
I do not. I could look into it, do some comparisons.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. So it's just data for that part. The coaching reduction. You mentioned that these positions are going to be reduced by attrition. Does that mean like if a coach decides I'm going to go back to the classroom or leaves it, that's what we're looking at doing? Because that's a very student-centered position. So I just
Yes, as they
The
leave
answer
or
is yes.
retire, we're looking to not backfill that position.
So it's just a not backfill?
Correct.
Okay, okay. That's it. Those are all my questions. Thanks.
Right. Thank you for this presentation. As Trustee Marks indicated, she and I have both been through the process over the years where serious cuts were necessitated. It's a painful process, and when we really don't, probably the worst thing that we have to deal with as a board. So losing any positions is critical, and I certainly appreciate the compassionate approach that I hear being brought forth from district leadership, where opportunities are being sought for anyone who is potential for being cut from a specific position. So thank you for that. I'm going to request that we take a short break. I think we probably all need it, and then we'll come back to our next agenda item in about 5 minutes. All righty, welcome back, everyone, and we appreciate you staying with us, and want you to know that we took a break so we could come fresh into our next topic. So, next item on the agenda is a report on update on ethnic studies and proposed change in graduation requirements timeline. So speakers for this item are our student board representative, Jifa Akwaye, and Mr. Mike Rich.
All right, thank you, President. I'll start off, and happy and excited to be presenting with GIFA today. As you know, we've been attacking this new ethnic studies requirement from the state for a couple of months. I'm going to kind of remind a little bit about where we've been and then talk about what we've done since we last met. Pivotal to this work of the ethnic studies class is this idea of creating environments for students to learn how to thrive and contribute to society. Really a vital part of our MCS vision, and really grounded, this vision is really grounded in the work that this course is looking to address. So as I mentioned, we'll first provide an update and then review some recommendations from the Ethnic Studies Community Guidance Committee, and then talk about next steps. So just want to bring us all back to AB 101. This is, the law was passed, and it requires a one-semester course in ethnic studies in the graduation requirements commencing with pupils graduating in the 2029-2030 school year. And you might think, that's great, that's a long ways off, we can handle this. But also in the law, it's required that we offer an ethnic studies course commencing in the 25-26 school year, with the idea that as kids matriculate through the grades, that they can achieve this graduation requirement. And just as a reminder, this is the first California state graduation requirement added since the late 1980s. So this is a pivotal to the work that the state is looking for us to address. In April of this year, this very board made the following graduation requirement changes. You added a one-semester course in the 9th grade for ethnic studies. We moved the World Geography Religions course to the elective track as opposed to the current graduation requirement track. Also not up here, we addressed some overall credit changes from 230 to 220, as well as the practical art requirement that was kind of a legacy requirement that we removed from the graduation requirements. And you voted to make this effective in the 2024-2025 school year, so the following school year. So just bringing us back to that. Jifa, I think this one's yours.
Right. So what you're seeing here is essentially a list of the representatives that we have on our Ethnic Studies Guidance Council. So we have representatives coming from all community groups, from our teachers, district employees, students, and community members. Some of some of whom are faculty members at some of our partner schools. So Stan State, MJC, and more. And our representatives also represent a diverse ethnic background, which helps us to maintain a holistic view and diverse perspective on the materials that we review and the curriculums that we're going over during our council meetings.
And I failed to mention that several of these committee members are not only sitting up here with us today, but also out in the audience. We appreciate it, particularly Dr. Mary Ralph from Stan State, who's been a great partner in this. Really, as a math person, this is all new to me, and it's been so fun for me to be a part of this and learn right alongside from the committee. So some of the work that we've done since that April decision from you is we've met monthly with our Community Guidance Council. We've evaluated sample lessons based on the model curriculum that the state's provided. We've taken those lessons and we've asked for teacher volunteers. Currently, we don't have an ethnic studies class, so we have some teacher volunteers who are piloting these lessons in classrooms right now. We've got student and teacher feedback, and I think, Omero, Trustee Mejiz, you mentioned that at the very beginning, that this is something that we've been able to look at, so that's been exciting. We've just started that process. We're working with the Region 6 Ethnic Study Collaborative and the California Regional Ethnic Studies Collaborative, really to identify best practices. What's happening around the state, who's doing what, who's already had these courses, and what have they implemented, and what can we already learn from them? I know that's been a big part of that, as well as participating in statewide resources. It's not just us that's adding this requirement. We're looking at the model courses. Our intent is to have a course that's A through G, meets the A through G requirements, so we're really looking at those options, as well as, and we kind of mentioned it before, working with our institutes of higher education partners, particularly on our committee. We have a representative from MJC, as well as Dr. Ralph from Stan State, and then we are working on a partnership deal with most likely UC Davis to provide professional development for our teachers. So really reaching out to all the resources we can to make this a success.
Right. So as for the community's or the guidance committee's recommendations, so the first recommendation is to really shift the full implementation of the course to the start of the 2025-2026 school year. So this course progression would still align with the AB 101 law. So we're still developing the course to be introduced in the upcoming 2024 and 2025 school year, but this allows for more time to develop teacher professional development and to get just to get accustomed to the course and to become comfortable with teaching and really guiding students through the course. And it also allows us to get more teacher and student input. So as these are being piloted in our classrooms this year, it allows students and teachers to get more of the curriculum, see how it works in their classrooms, and then get back to us. And then we can adjust accordingly to make sure that what we're putting out when it does become implemented as a full course is really has the best impact for our students. And then this also allows us for more collaboration with higher education partners. As Mr. Rich said, we're looking to partner with MJC, Stan State, possibly UC Davis. So this will give us more time for teachers to, once again, get more training in ethnic studies if that's not a background that they already have, so that the people who are teaching these courses are truly prepared and feel comfortable and confident in what they're teaching. So this leads us to, a continuation of our recommendations. So the council recommended to offer sections at each high school during the second semester of the 2024-2025 school year. So for teachers and students who are really eager, excited, ready to get into the ethnic studies course, they can, will have sections of these courses at each of the high schools so that those teachers who are prepared can start implementing these courses for students. Students can take these courses and get the credits and the requirements out of the way. And with these courses being implemented in the 2024 and 2025 school year, teachers will have the opportunity to observe those courses so that they can learn continued best practices and have more opportunities once again to become confident in the course material and confident in the curriculum to begin to teach it in the 2025-2026 school year. And then this allows us to get input from the full course curriculum. So from the structure of the entire semester course, and it allows us to go through all of the different ethnic groups that we have to cover in the course and the structure of the course, and really to see how students develop their understanding of ethnic studies from the beginning to the end of the semester, so we can take it back, adjust the curriculum, and learn more, and really make sure that in the 2025-2026 school year, it's once again the best course that we can put out for our students, and making sure that we have a top quality course. And then this also just allows us for more time to address AP and IB concerns with fulfilling AP and IB requirements and any scheduling concerns with those programs.
So really, our next steps is at the next board meeting, we're seek approval of shifting the graduation requirement 1 year, as Jifa just described. Really continuing to provide teacher PD. Our goal is semester 2 of this year, in the next couple of months, start that process with teachers. Continue piloting lessons as we've done, as a committee reviews model lessons, getting those in the hands of teachers, having them put them in place in their classrooms, hearing back from the students how it worked. Continue meeting monthly with the Community Guidance Council, and then just collecting and organizing all those curriculum resources. This isn't a class that you can just pick up a book and say, okay, we're going to teach pre-algebra. Here's a book, it's meant to be based on local community and local needs. So we really need to spend time evaluating what is a value. I feel like I missed something. A lot of people are smiling at me, and I totally missed it. So, I meant to say pre-calculus. I apologize. But the idea is it's meant to be based on local communities and local needs, aside from the core groups that have been identified. But it's going to take some time. We can't just pull a book off the shelf to do this. So with that, President Brown, we turn it back over to you for comments.
Thank you. Do we have comments from the public that's with us tonight? And look forward to hearing from you.
Hello, good evening. Thank you all for having me here. As Mr. Rich said, I'm Mary Rofe. I am an ethnic studies faculty member with an emphasis in Black studies at Stan State. I've been there since 2018, and I'm the current interim chair of the ethnic studies department. And it's been such a pleasure to work with a board and a team of educators and administrators and students and community members who are so enthusiastic and supportive about implementing this really landmark historic graduation requirement. I started out really serving in a community member capacity a couple of years ago at the invitation of Superintendent Noguchi when we had the Ethnic Studies, MCS Ethnic Studies Task Force from 2021-2022. So I'm about halfway through my second year of serving in a similar capacity with this council. And I would just like to say that I really support this modification of what is going to go forward full steam ahead with the implementation of the requirement. I actually started out as a K-12 educator 30 years ago, baptism by fire, teaching 100 to 127th graders, starting in 1993. And I've also had the privilege of working in teacher coaching. I've trained more than 200 K-12 teachers. And so I really, really get it from the perspectives of the students and the community members where this is really needed, and also from the perspectives of the teachers who want to ensure, and also the administrators who want to ensure that that professional development is robust and it's substantive. And so I do support this plan to do more of an intensive, very intentional, right, systematic piloting. In addition to the alignment of the timing, we're about to launch an Ethnic Studies Professional Certificate Program tailored specifically to K-12 teachers primarily, and also administrators within the Central Valley in the fall. And so the alignment will really be there for you all to be able to make the most and maximize going into more of a comprehensive pilot for the 2024-2025 school year, if that is an option that you select. And I think it will really set up Modesto City Schools for tremendous success and to not only be a model in the Central Valley, but a model for the entire state and the entire country for a high-level implementation of ethnic studies. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Well, thank you for being here to support this initiative and for your participation on this committee. Comments from our board. Trustee Mejia.
I said, oh, that was my cue from the last time I spoke. Well, yeah, like I said, I think our other guidance council members, thank you for being here. And I think that we've been meeting and we saw the need for this because I do feel like there has to be passion and there has to be the right person teaching that course. So I think the piloting, I think it will give maybe some teachers that maybe they didn't think they were going to teach this course could come up and begin to do that. And I just love the feedback, just the limited amount of students that have been exposed to this. The feedback was rich. So I think with one more year of doing this, I think it will give us a lot of data and a lot of information to see which lessons have the bigger impact. And so I just think it's an overall great idea. And we've been working so hard at it. We actually, he puts us to work. We get a lesson, we have to present it, we have rubrics, I'm like, we can't get through all of them sometimes. But it's just a very exciting time. Historic when we talked about this when I was in college, it might happen one day, and that it being here and such a wonderful group of individuals kind of being very thoughtful and guidance. So I'm just in full support of doing this with what was recommended on the report.
Thank you. Trustee Maestas.
Thank you. First, I want to just say thank you to everyone that's been on the committee and been doing all the hard work, and then especially those that are going to continue doing the work in formulating this. This is not AP pre-calculus. Somebody's using it. We don't have guidance from a bigger company or a bigger place like College Board, and you can't just dive right in and go, okay, we're going to do this the first year, it's implement and just go. If we're going to do this before the state, which is a great idea, we should still do it right. And I think taking the time to workshop and pilot is a great idea and to move things. Because I've had one big concern this year and moving forward, which I haven't gotten a straight answer for. And so this is the first time I've gotten a sort of a straight answer. And I'm going to say sort of because it just says allow time to address AP concerns. Every time I ask this, what about, because right now our district has decided to do this as for freshmen. Other districts have done it for different. There are other districts in the area that do ethnic studies already for different, but they do it senior year or junior year. And we've decided to do it for freshman year, and so the big concern I have is about AP Human Geography, and students that take AP Human Geography already have to take health in the summer or some way to make up that credit, and now also will have to take ethnic studies. But my concern is that if you're not actually in a full ethnic studies class, you're not going to get as rich of an experience. So what happens? And so how do we balance those kids? How do we let those kids take AP and do ethnic studies in a way that they're going to get something out of it? So I'm concerned about that. And so far, it's just been the answer I've been getting is basically kick it down the road and to figure it out. So, I mean, I guess there's no answer right now, but at least we're addressing it. And I'd like to know what. As we get going, what are we going to do? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that yet.
Yeah, no, I don't want to say we're kicking it down the road, but that is definitely one of our concerns. We literally had a conversation today with our group about the exact same thing. I've met with some of the AP Hug teachers, kind of gotten their thought. We're going to pull the teachers together. We're going to really look at, is there an opportunity for us to create that within the course? Honestly, I don't know, not being a curriculum specialist in that realm. And if not, what are some other options we can? Because we agree the course isn't necessarily about the content as much as it's about the collaboration and conversation that you're having with your peers. So we don't want to create an opportunity where they don't get that. So yes, that's one of the hard things on how we answer that.
Right, I think some of those AP Hug teachers might be the teachers that are going to teach ethnic studies too, or would have be able to do that. Because they teach freshmen already, and they have to do it in a high level. So I'm curious. That being said, I'm interested in knowing how at least the pilot lessons and student and feedback, how are the freshmen that are being exposed to some of these lessons, how are they taking to this so far?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've got some data we can share their feedback from it. The first lessons we've piloted is on the unit that we're calling identity, and really looking at where they come from and their own personal history. So we've had a few lessons on that. I don't remember the specific feedback. I don't know if some of you remember any of the specific comments that we read at the last meeting, but I can get you those so you can see them. And then we do have some more of those lessons happening this week, as well as right after Thanksgiving. So we're looking forward before our next meeting, which is December 4th, I think, to see more student feedback. So we'll make sure we can share that with you.
So I guess, you have a great group of people that know a lot of stuff. So any recommendation I make is just, a drop in the bucket. I fully acknowledge all of their expertise, and I'm going to take their expertise. But just having taught freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, I wonder if something to think about is how could we scale these topics as well into some of the classes as they get older? Because the conversations that happen with seniors are very different than the conversations that happen with freshmen. And so sometimes you can get some surface level things in the freshman class that you can get deeper in a senior level. So I wonder how we can take our course and stretch that thinking as they move up. And that could be in their social science courses, but I'd like to have the teachers think about how we can integrate some of these topics and conversations every year.
You're right on point. That's one of the main reasons we wanted at the freshman level, is so that we can kind of scale that as we go through, particularly when we talk about the realm or the modules around civil discourse. That'll span all of the modules, but how can we really build that system to support not just that freshman class, but moving forward through other curricula? Yeah, you're right on track.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Vice President Irvin.
Yes, as Trustee Mejia said, the passion. And I have enjoyed being on this committee. I know I missed the last meeting, but I just want to say, my history goes back in ethnic studies to my undergrad days. I actually have a newspaper article, a picture of me leading a protest to the vice president's office at Cal State San Bernardino, protesting to get an ethnic studies program at Cal State San Bernardino. That was in 1992. And, leading that charge to the peaceful protest to the vice president's office. And after doing all the research with San Francisco State back then and San Jose State about what they had done 30 years, or so prior, and here we are now talking about this at our K-12 systems. And so, and then my opportunity to teach ethnic studies, I taught it at MJC. I actually had an opportunity to teach it at Stan State back in 2014 when a professor had to have surgery, but I ended up getting a job at MJC as a counselor and advisor. And it was full-time versus part-time, so I took that. But I taught it for 4 years at MJC part-time, ethnic studies. And so we're on the cusp. I think we're still, we've come a long ways in ethnic study. Like I said, I was one of the ones who was on the AB 101 advisory group, statewide advisory group, during those Zoom meetings during COVID. And just to see how all of that has transformed. At first there was a lot of discussion and debate around what should go in and what not go in, and I'm glad we have a lot of flexibility. The state has given us flexibility within our own communities to be able to develop our curriculum, to be able to be taught to our students. So I am definitely in agreement with the delay and, so it gives us time to move closer to perfection, so to speak. So I'm looking forward to that, and I commend and I'm really honored to be with a lot of the community members, Dr. Roth over at MJC. Everybody's come together with the common goal, with the common cause of what's best for our students in ethnic studies. How do we broaden their perspective in life? Because at the bottom line, that's what ethnic studies does. It broadens their perspective in life at a young age, and not have to wait to get to college or experience stuff by trial and error. We're providing that foundation here at the high school level, and hopefully we can get even before that. But I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Marks.
Yes, we missed you, John, at the last meeting. But it was a great meeting, lots of robust discussion, and seeing the slides about how the pilot, the ones that had volunteered for the pilot, how that was going. So I pulled up one of the slides. Couldn't do the one with the questions that we had because the questions got cut off. I had the percents on there, but this is the student voice, so this is what they said. So we got to see all these. But I like this lesson that everyone could connect with what was being said. I like that we are talking about us. I like that the atmosphere was open and welcoming. I liked showing me like talking about what I am. That was a really cool one. Learning about people. The thing I liked the best about this lesson is the amount of questions that we got. And somebody else said everything. They liked everything. And I know when we went through this and we were going through the lessons and seeing how they would be taught in the classroom, it takes a lot of sensitivity and a lot of patience for each one that was going to be teaching it. And hearing the feedback from the teachers and the staff that were in that meeting and the other board members was really helpful, just to be able to say, okay, I'm understanding this better. So allowing for a year delay to ensure that it fits with all that we want in it for our students that live here, and to ensure that it's a very rich experience for each student, I think is important. And if we rushed it ahead, I don't think we get the depth that we want in this course. And so I'm in support of delaying it a year and allowing all those discussions to happen, all that feedback for the staff to adapt and revise and fit and work with it and make it work for our students that live here. So I think it's great, and I love that you said that there's flexibility, and I think that's really key in this as we move forward. And it's difficult because there is this timeline that we already set up in April, and so to interrupt that timeline I know is difficult, but I appreciate that staff, that Mr. Rich and oh man, it's hard to say your last name. I'll just call you Jifa. That our student rep had such great input too, and was able to share her thoughts and ideas with us. I appreciate that you did that. And I think it helps us get a better understanding of what needs to be done as we implement this in the future. So that was my concluding comment.
Thank you. Well, thank you for this presentation. Thank you for the energy and the enthusiasm surrounding this implementation. And I too want to focus back on our student representative, Akwaye. Chifa, you are a gift to the boards at this time, and to have your voice as a presenter on this just speaks volumes. You're amazing, and we love and appreciate the student voice that you bring to our board, especially at this important time when we're dealing with the topic of ethnic studies. So we are proud of you as a representative of our board, and we thank everyone who is participating to make sure that this important course is available at the highest possible level for every one of our students. Just think of what it can do for unification and to build community among every student from every background. And so we look forward to the future. And the future's bright because of what we're doing now. So thank you all. Okay. We have another item on our agenda. Item B7 is the selection of possible nominations for Modesto City Schools trustees for the one vacancy that's available to run for the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly for 2024. Dr. Noguchi.
Thank you. So each year, CSBA asks for nominations for the delegate assembly within each of the regions. This year, we have one vacancy. Last year, there were 2 vacancies. This year, there are 1. So tonight, I'm asking you all to have a conversation, a discussion on who is interested in moving their name forward or not. You certainly can nominate yourself. You could nominate somebody else, but at the end of this meeting, if there is one that can move forward, they will move that name forward, and then it will come back, I believe, 6 or 8 weeks from now for the actual vote. So with that, I'm going to open it up to discussion on a nominee for our region for CSBA Delegate Assembly.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none, let's turn it to the board. Comments?
I just have a question. Is Fay Lane not running for this? Is she not? I'm just curious. It's this position, she's had it, but I didn't know if she's decided not to run, so I just called it a vacancy. But
Well, I can tell you she serves on the county School Boards Association
right,
and
as a
has been
delegate.
unable to attend meetings
Okay,
for most
yeah,
of the year.
okay.
So I think that her
Yeah.
ability to serve has come to an end.
Okay, that's fine. So there's a deadline on January 7th that you have to submit a biographical sketch and then let's see what else. Usually it's like a resume so that other board members in our county can see if they want to vote for you or not. Because you know how it comes to us as a board, and then we look at who's applied, and then we decide on who we want to vote for.
Yeah, so I would like to ask, I know as we talked about the subject a year ago, there were a couple of board members who had expressed interest. Is there interest in pursuing that this year? And does anyone have questions about what is involved in the process?
Yeah, because I was a delegate and I'm a past president, so I'm still a delegate because I'm a past president. So got it. Any questions?
Yeah, I am at this point just with. I think I'm gonna pass to put my name out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass too. I've got a lot of things going on, and so I think I'm gonna pass for now.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, what would be asked is a commitment of time and also being present for meetings, putting together the packets, and it's okay if we don't move a name forward. It's not, that's not something we have to, we're not required to do that.
So I personally want to express gratitude to Trustee Marks, affectionately known as Cindy, for her efforts and her continuing involvement with Delegate Assembly and keeping us informed. So that's really paramount, and would encourage any board members who would like to pursue this and learn more about that. Trustee Daly, it might be something you'll want to look into in the future. But
Personally, I think it would be nice to have somebody else. I mean, I know Cindy's there, but it would be nice to have somebody represented from Modesto City Schools. What is the responsibility? What is the time commitment?
So there's 2 meetings a year. There's one in May, and we meet for 2 days in Sacramento on a weekend. The second meeting is in December, and it's the previous day and a half before the conference. So we come in a day and a half, 2 days early, and we select the next. We vote on a lot of things. You get opportunities to be on a lot of different committees that would take a little extra time. Might be another 6 days in the year, and CSBA would compensate for travel and for hotel and the time that would be spent. A lot of it changed to Zoom, which made it a lot easier for many people, especially Southern California, because most of the meetings are in Sacramento. And so it's not a huge time commitment, but when you're on a committee, you have work to do. So it's a great opportunity to have a voice in Sacramento for legislation and things that CSBA is going to support or oppose. And it's an opportunity to get to know people in our area too, and attend the meetings with the county to be able to have a greater voice in what happens in our area. So I was excited when I was able to be selected and the county voted me in and allowed me to participate and be on that board. And then I was voted in on the board of directors and then was voted by the membership to be the president. So just to move up the seats over those years was really special, and to participate in such a great way to influence school boards around the state. Delegates meet, there's 300, and so it's quite a large group. We break into small groups, and we have opportunity to discuss things in small meetings so that your voice is bigger in those meetings. So it's been a really great, I just feel so honored to have been able to do it over these years. And so it's good. So I'm looking forward to this next week because I'll be in Sacramento and doing some more.
Francisco.
I mean, San Francisco this year, yes, San Francisco, so.
It's all good.
So if the board would like or would be approving of it, I would be willing to put my name out there.
Good. Well, I would encourage you to work with Cindy, Trustee Marks,
Yes.
and have her help you with the application process.
It's like 4 questions that you answer. Why you want to do that, it's a simple biographical sketch.
And Cindy, you started early in your
I did.
school board's career,
My
did you
second
not?
year on the board, I was elected to delegate assembly, so only because there was a vacancy, and there hadn't been any vacancies for 16 years. So they
Next
stayed on a
month,
long
we'll
time.
start my second year.
That's right, that's right.
So
A
I would be
motion?
looking, yeah.
I
we need a
move,
motion.
I put in a motion to nominate Trustee Daly for the delegate assembly position.
Those in favor? Aye. I hope you feel supported.
And certainly, Trustee Marks, whatever support I'm going to offer Antoinette in the back there, whatever support we can offer as far as writing, wordsmithing, putting all that together, we've got a pretty strong team, so we can do that too.
This will be a great learning opportunity and process for you.
Piece we want to definitely pay attention to is the timeline. I think what happened last year is the timeline got away with us. Given the holidays, it came fast and furious, and before we knew it, it was over, and there was no looking back. So Antoinette will know those timelines, working with Trustee Marks, and then we can put the polish on it and make sure it gets in. Good. Thank you.
All righty, so that looks like it's pretty well concluding our meeting. Item G2, any items to be placed on future Board of Education agendas? No, and do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion by Trustee Mejia, second by Trustee Marks. Those in favor? Aye. Aye.